I think all of us are kind of expecting, like, give us something.
Yeah, give us something new.
Like, okay, it's that's the way it's been done, but now we want something new, not always just to stand out, but just like we want something new.
Hey guys, welcome to Be Original with Isley Creative,
where we discuss all things marketing. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy.
What's up, everybody? It's OJ.
Hey,
we're here at the Be Original. Be Original podcast. My name is OJ. I'm here with my friend
Christian.
We are joined today by the one and only Chino Bambino.
Hey, what's up, America?
That's great.
I love it.
That's good.
Chino owns a company called Bella Hill.
No, I own a company called ALTVRA.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But ALTVRA and Bella Hill? Or is it the same company?
Bella Hill is under kind of like Pepsi and Aquafina.
Oh, I like that. That was really good, actually. All right, cool.
Except Aquafina is made by Coca-Cola.
Oh, this is going to be a fun one. For those of you guys that don't know.
We don't edit these, by the way.
For those of you that don't know, this is going to be the
last
time. No, this is going to be the best podcast that's ever hit the waves, the internet.
Rated #1 by my parents and
my parents, maybe, and Christian's parents.
Mm-hmm. Sure,
that rated #1 podcast by our parents. We're really, really proud of that.
Yep.
All right, well, I'm going to clear my throat because I was laughing too hard. Well, I'm really glad that you're here, Chino.
I'm so glad to be here in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
All right, let's talk about, we are, the point of this season is talking specifically about content and doing a lot of it. We talk about how, even the most content that you could possibly produce doesn't even equate to the same number as the amount of content that's being consumed right now, this day and age, right? So from your perspective, we wanted to kind of hear from like a storyteller like you. We want to know, like, what is it about? Like, what is your process, or maybe not even your process, but from your perspective, right? What's the perspective on the story, or how do we get to that point when we're trying to deliver this content?
The point of it is kind of to connect to people. We always try to create stuff that's going to challenge people, I guess, and to connect with them in some odd way. I think everyone has this kind of tendency to show off or show their good side and their perfect side, and but we like kind of showing like the side of like, wait, what is that? I guess the artsy side in everybody that kind of everyone I feel suppresses because it's not popular.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So yeah, okay, I totally get that.
So we love using color and other stuff that you may not see in a regular feed. Like how you said, it's infinite content, and I like it and I hate it at the same time because we're all just trying to show off, I guess, who we are, but not really who we are in a way. So
from your perspective, telling your story is really just being true to yourself.
Yes.
And we talk a lot about that all the time. It's like that, even from a corporate standpoint, with the clients that we deal with on a regular basis, it's always about that why, or what, like what intrigues people to want to buy from you, or, pay for your services. It's about telling that story, and it's about being real, honest human beings in front of the camera, and that's how people relate to you.
Right, because there's a lot of people on Earth. I don't know if this the stats, the exact
6 billion.
something like that. Yeah.
Ish?
Yeah, last time I counted, there was about 8 people around me. But yeah, you have to kind of find who connects with you, because and we talk with Christian on our podcast. You can find that. I'm just joking. We talked about how there's clients that you kind of don't get along with, and clients that you really get along with, and you love working with those clients that you really get along with. And the way to find those clients is that you show who you are, so that they sense the vibe, and then you guys get on the same wavelength and whatever. And when you work with them, it's way better than working with somebody who doesn't get you or doesn't understand like why you're doing this. When you gain that trust with the client, that's huge. That's Donald Trump huge. Like it makes working with them such a good process, and it makes life so much better.
Well, it's interesting because not a few episodes back, we talked to a guy named Steve from CCB. And Steve...
How long ago was that?
Exactly.
A couple days
3
ago,
episodes.
Yeah.
But Steve has brought up a really good point because, and the whole reason we reached out to them was because I found them through a podcast that they were starting to promote. And what's crazy to me is that they are doing a podcast on leadership, and they own an IT company that services IT clients. And you know, that was the one thing that we kept talking about when he was here, was the value of, like, that's what we're passionate about. We're passionate about leadership. We're passionate about pouring into our people and helping them grow and whatever it is, right? But they find that that's the way to get their clients. And that's how they've gotten them. That's how they've been able to grow. That's how they've been able to, you know, far exceed expectation, even with their own clients. So I do think that that's extremely important.
Right.
So now let's go even further into that and talk about telling that story. Is there a process of discovering that for you, like as a...
Yeah, the biggest process I've seen into getting there is starting. I know it might sound weird, but it's like you get this gut feeling, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone has this gut feeling of like what they should be doing, but you can't see it at all. And then some people will stop and say, well, I don't know what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to do this instead, or I'm just going to stay where I am. But you have that gut feeling, and a lot of times for me, it's like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I just have a feeling that I need to do something. And then once you start taking steps, then it starts like, oh, okay,
it's making more sense.
Now I see, like, and I think a lot of people fear that, like taking those first and small steps or big steps or whatever, how small or big it is. But that's always been my thing. Like, you just have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good, because I think that's honestly, I think that's even in our own stuff that we do for Isley. It's always just a matter of saying, like, Christian and I could sit in an office and talk about awesome ideas all day long. But when it comes down to it, we just have to do something. I mean, that's how this podcast happened. You know, I came to Christian, I was like, listen, I think it'd be super valuable for us to do this. And he's like, okay.
I said, good, go do it.
Let's do it. And so I'm like, okay, we're going to do it. And it's just like one of those things, like, out of that.
Oh, you need cameras? Oh, okay. You want me to do something?
No, but it all came down to the fact of saying, like, this is what I think that we should do. And even after 3 seasons, however many episodes we've done, we're still fine-tuning as we're going. And we do this professionally. Like, that's what we do for a living. Like, you're not always going to have all the right answers. You're not always going to have the exact steps to take. Yeah. But doing it, I love that. That's exactly
I made the ALTVRA A on our podcast.
Exactly.
So just for Chino.
Chino Bambino.
Inspired, yeah. Yeah.
You do a lot of weddings too. and your primary focus is photography.
Yep.
And you do some video stuff now.
Somewhat, yeah. For me, it's been whatever's creative. I took a test, and some people are love certainty, but I love uncertainty. So, whatever I don't, like I said again, like whatever kind of draws me a little bit, I take steps towards that way. And if it's photo design or video work, or talking, I'm really bad at talking, but I'm on podcasts and people ask me to talk, and I always feel in my head, I'm horrible at this. Why do you guys call me up for this? So like,
because you're not terrible at it to start with.
Well, I feel I'm terrible at it, but
Sure.
I take the steps to do it. Like at the end of my life, I'm not going to be like, oh, crap.
I wish I would have done that podcast.
No,
podcast.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying. I'm not going to be saying, oh, what if I would have done this, or what if I would have done that, or like, well, I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have done this, or like all those things that I tried to do and I messed up at. I'm grateful for. Like, who's gonna come? How's my life going to be ruined by doing this?
Sure.
Yeah.
At the very most, you're literally becoming famous by the second that this podcast goes.
Being famous by being horrible, for being horrible.
No, you're not horrible. Don't say that.
Well, but this is the point, is that you bring value. So like what's in your mind brings value. And because you are you, and you're bringing what you think and your perspective to it, that's what's giving value to anybody listening. And that's kind of our point in this season, is like, just do it. Just take the step and go. Because if you have that urge or that pull to do something, that is going to bring value, because you're going to put yourself into it. You know, your goal is not to do something the same way everybody else does it. Maybe times it'll come out that way, but more often than not, if you just start walking down the path and you don't let a bunch of people tell you how to do it, you know, like, but just to do it, then you're going to get something that is valuable, because it's your perspective. And nobody has your perspective. You know, like it's just really cool to just go and do. And then if it's something that works and it clicks and you feel good and you start to do more and more and more, it's just going to grow and become more refined and bring more value, because you're learning and you're sharing. And like, and that's the whole thing. No matter what content you create, whether it's on a podcast, whether it's design, photos, video, like or writing. A lot of people are really fantastic writers. Or anything that you create can bring value to people, as long as you put yourself into it.
And I think people have to also take note that growing in it, or the time it takes to get to where you think you should be, it's not quick. It's not, and it's not worth it to get there quick. It's not like winning the lottery and like you get to this point where you're a millionaire now. It's like, then you end up being broke because you don't know how to handle that. It's better to struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle to finally get to where you think you want to get, because then that struggle makes you just so much stronger to be able to handle the big stuff when it really hits your life.
Well, I would go as far as to say that I don't truly ever think that if what you strive for is ever really attainable. Like if you're really pushing yourself to do something like that's outside of your comfort zone, like even when you think you've gotten there, there's always room to grow.
Yeah, there's the next.
It's the next step. Yeah. It's like what comes next. So I totally agree with that. But I would even go as far to say that I still think that there's even more that gets piled on top of that.
And that's exactly what creates your story, is that journey.
Yeah.
You know, when you ask somebody, or a business or a big company, small company, or whoever it is, freelancer, you ask them why they do what they do, it always derives from some sort of story in their lives, whether it's personal or professional. There's always some sort of moment that like a switch kind of flips and they say, like, I'm just being me, you know, and this is what I've gone through. And that story drives everything that they do. And so when we're talking about like visualizing stories or putting out content, that content is valuable because of your story. And that story doesn't necessarily have to be scripted. You know what I mean? That can be like this. Like, we don't script these podcasts. We give a subject and we just start talking, and whatever comes out is what comes out. And we try to obviously stay within the subject, but if it goes somewhere else, it goes somewhere else, and that becomes valuable because that's what's kind of boiled up in the conversation. And that's what I believe it's valuable for me to sit here and talk to you guys, and hopefully it's valuable for everybody else. But if it's not, it's not, and oh well. But for us, we've done what we came to do. You know what I mean? And that's a huge thing, is that we are putting this content out, and not everything we do is gonna click with everybody, and that's okay. You know, well, but hopefully it'll help somebody. You know,
and I think a big part of the process of storytelling, let's just bring it back to the corporate setting, because that's what we're the most familiar with, is it goes beyond just the story of a product, because everybody does product highlight videos. Like, that's just the thing that you have to do, right? It's just like second nature. You have to do it that way. But I think it goes beyond that even further, is when you're digging into the true essence of what the company is. Why did you start this company? Why did you work here? Like, bring me back to the situation that you were sitting in your house contemplating whether or not you should take a job here or not, and what that job was, and how this place has made you feel. Like, you're here for a reason. You either love what you do or you absolutely hate what you do. Either way, it's brought you to this point. Like, tell us that story, because that's the story that people are going to really be passionate about.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to gain the most amount of followers, if you want to call it that, right? Like, those are the people that are really going to relate to you.
Yeah, but I don't think you should be doing it for thinking like, okay, well, that's going to get me more followers if I'm true to myself. I feel like you need to be true to yourself and not expect people to be like, oh, he's so great. He's being vulnerable and being so open.
It's not always going to translate like that.
Yeah, it's not about like, it's tougher there with products, because you do want to kind of say, well, this is who I am and this is what I use. So if you are the same. But to me, I feel like I'm not a sales guy, so I'm not selling, you should do this because this is who I am. We're the same and we should get. I'm doing it, and if you want to, go ahead. And if you don't want to, that's fine. And that's what makes me a bad salesman. But I'm fine with that, because that's...
You're true to yourself.
True to yourself, yeah.
What's your, maybe this is a really hard question to answer, I don't really know, but what's your favorite kind of story?
I don't know how to answer that, but I like stories where you can go back to it and always find something fresh and something new. I once heard that a teacher was asking a student, go listen to the Beatles album and see like why they played, or why they made the music, or why they played it a certain way, or how they created it. And I was like, well, that's dumb. They just like making music and they played music. But now I go back to it and I'm like thinking, okay, wait, that made sense, because there's what, 4 guys?
Yeah, ish.
And each person...
I don't know the Beatles at all, sorry.
Each person they were individuals, but they worked together to make something. And there's a reason why they chose the chord they played in. There was a reason why they wanted the sitar in there. So all these things, I forget where I'm going with this for that question. But I'm saying that each person has a reason why they're doing what they do, and it's because of your life. You're attracted to India, you go to India, you live there for a while, you come back to America, then you play this instrument, and then everyone's like, wait, why are you playing that instrument? This is America, get an acoustic guitar and sing about America. It's like, no, this is who I am, and this is what attracts me, and then you start building this culture of like, oh, this guy's unique, this girl's unique.
I get it.
And then
there's depth to that.
Yeah,
there's depth. Yeah, thank you. That was the word I was looking for.
Yeah,
depth.
and then you get these 4 guys to come together, or 3 guys, however. I don't know.
How many are there, Oates? There are 4 people in the Beatles.
Also known as the Fabulous 4.
Also known as the Fabulous 4. Thank you, Oates. You're the best. That's why
what question was I answering?
The question was, and you answered it, is, what kind of stories do you like?
Yeah.
Like, those. Like, so like you hear a song.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, that's a nice song. Then you research into it more. Oh, he was going through this. Oh, okay. And then the other guy was going through this. And somehow, and they met at this place, and they wrote this song because of something that happened to this guy. And like, so now this song means a way more than just listening to it and giving you a good moment of a minute and a half moment of like, oh, this is a good song. Now you're like, okay, well, he was here, and this guy was here, and this guy traveled here, and this traveled here, and this guy was struggling with drugs, and this guy was trying to get everybody together for the production, and this happened on that day, and all this stuff. Like, okay, that means a lot more now that I know about it
than just the lyrics that they're saying.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do you find it hard for people to? Do you find it hard for people to get excited about content creation when you approach it in such a creative way?
I think so. Yeah. People don't. Yeah, people see it as a selling tool, and people see it as like they don't get how you do it, so they're like, well, just do it. Like if it was a sports team or something, just come out and play or something. But like to me, it's like, well, no, I'm not going to go out there and just shoot or just create something. It's not like that. It's more like, well, tell me more about why we're doing it. Tell me everything that could be involved into it, and then let it like digest and let it be kind of organic and grow on its own. I can't. You just can't put it always out there. Like, okay, you need a video. Okay, yeah, we can do it. Like here's the diagram A, B, C, D. This is what we have to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do that.
Sometimes you have. I mean, let's just be honest. Sometimes you have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Some clients don't want you to be creative at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They just want you to produce this kind. And I get it. Like we're not faulting them for that. We're just saying for this podcast specifically, we're talking about the creative process, and brought in probably one of the most creative people I've ever met, which is Chino, and to talk about that because your process is different than anybody else's that I've ever met. So it's interesting to me to have that perspective.
Well, and I think the cool part is that by staying true to that and constantly pushing that, even if it meant like sacrificing jobs here or there, whatever, has caused you to be a person that people will reach out to for something different or unique.
Right.
Like maybe a company needs headshots, but they don't want the same style headshots that they've always gotten on the black or gray backdrop, the pose and whatever. And they're like, I just want to do something more unique and more like us, and that's like a niche that you've created because that you like to do that, and you can see that vision and find new environments or new ways to light things or new ways to shoot things in a way that still feels professional and clean for the client, but also has like personality to it, right? Which is really cool, and I think that applies to like how you're telling the story. Even headshots can tell a story.
Yep.
Even headshots can be important content for your company and things like that, because you can show the life and the culture and the purpose just through a simple photo, you know, and it speaks so much.
Yeah, because we could see a lot of content that's already been made, and we kind of sometimes think, okay, that's how you do it, but it's not. That's what's popular, that's what sells, but it doesn't mean that that's how you have to do it. That's how it's always going to be. No, it's 2020 right now.
19.
2019, and there's room for change.
Yes.
It's like the iPhone. Like it hasn't changed that much, and I think all of us are kind of expecting like, give us something.
Yeah, give us something new.
Like, okay, it's that's the way it's been done, but now we want something new, not always just to stand out, but just like we want something new.
Yeah.
Maybe people complain about the snow and the weather, but I like it because it's something new. Like if we were perfect weather all the time, I mean, it would be nice, but
you wouldn't appreciate it as much.
Yeah, you wouldn't see like change. You wouldn't come to this circumstance where
that's an interesting perspective. I've never really thought about it like that, but I appreciate that because I absolutely hate it.
Well, as in photography or video, you can also like say you don't want to rent a studio, you can go outside, right? Duh. So then here you have summer. Okay, I can do certain stuff in summer.
Sure.
We can do a pool shoot. In the fall, we can have these sweet colors on the trees. In winter, we have this. I mean, come on. If something's completely covered in white, like say this is like a white sweep, but it's outside. I mean, I don't think we've taken advantage of what snow is and what crazy things we could do in the snow because it's so horrible to work with.
Everything's blown out.
Yeah. So I appreciate the change because it hits my brain to say, hey, change, do something new.
Yeah. When you look at the things that have worked and sold, all came from somebody doing something different. Mm-hmm. So if you don't do anything different, you can't create that new, normal, I guess. Mm-hmm. And what would be nice is to get to a point where there isn't a new normal. It's just everybody doing them, and trying new things and being original and just doing stuff that they see,
Right.
And I think that's what I'm kind of getting at, because that tells a story. There's no better way to tell a story than to allow your creativity to just go. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be, really expensive cameras and lenses and lighting. It can simply be, I mean, you can go get a disposable camera still and get a great picture of just setting up what you see. Like everybody has some sort of expectation in their minds when they think, I need a headshot, or I need pictures of my family at my wedding, or this and that. And that's what makes, you just taking that image and trying to make it happen is what makes it unique and what tells your story.
I love it. I like telling stories. I'm not very good at it. We are very good at it. As a collective, I think ALTVRA is very good at it. Isley's very good at it. Very different. That just goes to show, even for people that are out there that are looking for companies that can help them build content, I think we have two very different companies when it comes to even all the way down to the creative process that we go through to get to the deliverable is very different. And that's what makes this so great.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that you can go through this process in your creative and the outcome is still killer content.
Yeah.
And that's really what it's set out to be, right?
Yeah. Because I would say, there's how many billion people on Earth?
6 billion.
Yeah.
Ish.
So certain people are going to love what Christian does.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, Christian's my guy. Let's do what he does. And then people are going to be like, oh, OJ's my guy.
Yeah.
Those very few people. And we're like, let's go with OJ's idea. And some people are going to come to Chino's idea and no, we have to use Chino instead.
5 billion people come to Chino.
5.5 billion.
Yeah.
And so we have all these different people that, I don't know why sometimes there feels like there's competition.
Sure.
Where it's no, there's plenty around to go for anyone.
Absolutely.
I think you've said that before, and you've said that before. you just have to find your people.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Well, I don't know.
And and even just in like, I mean, perfect example of that is recently you've been working with us quite a bit. Like we've had you in and working on different projects. So like Christian and I recognize that we're not going to be the best fit for everybody, but we know that we have really awesome creatives. This season is a perfect example of the people that we have that surround us that are brilliant creatives that do amazing work. And this is our network. We tap into that, into you guys as much as we possibly can. To make that's
huge. Yeah, I mean, just recognizing, and I mean, this could be a good one for any other production company or freelancer or content creator out there that is doing projects for people. Is the second that you're willing to admit that this particular project might not be best suited for you, but maybe someone you know, like that's when you are servicing your clients the best.
Yeah.
Like when I can recognize, okay, Chino would do a better job at visualizing this than I would, and this is way more like his style, like that's when the client will get what they need versus me attempting to do something that Chino would do.
Yeah.
You know, and like I love Chino's stuff, and I would love to have that mind and vision and that kind of thing, but there's times where it's just Chino needs to do Chino, and you know what I mean, like, and so it's just really cool. I just feel like, we've talked about this with a couple different people, but just creating that relationship and that kind of collective of people to encourage each other in their work, in their businesses, and all sorts of things, because you always have that thing in your head of like, Chino's going to think this about my work, or vice versa, or even just businesses like, so-and-so's agency is doing this better than we are, or whatever, like all of those things. But the reality is that so-and-so agency might be watching your stuff and thinking the same thing, and until you connect and you say like, hey, I really liked how you did that, because that's what it comes from, is you liked how they did something, and then you, instead of like encouraging them and like saying, hey, you guys did a great job on that, which is like super fulfilling, you start to get like competitive and weird. And that's where it's like, man, I want to celebrate our competitors for the things that they're good at. Like if they're not good at something, I'm not going to point it out and tell them they're not good at something, but I'm going to encourage the things that they're good at, because then I can recognize when we get a client and they're the first person that pops into my head to do that thing, like it's the perfect world.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And just be able to like bring that all together.
Absolutely.
So, yep.
Well, I had a lot of fun talking about stories with you today, Chino. Thank you for gracing us with your presence.
This was amazing.
Chino, do you want to plug your book or anything like that?
Oh,
that
yeah.
You got coming up?
Well, my parents live in Guatemala. I was born in Guatemala, and they came from America. To America to start life here.
Are you going to read the whole book right now to us?
You wanted me to plug the book?
No, I mean, like, tell us about your book that you have coming out. No book's coming out yet? Later?
Yes, it's called It's called I Have All the Answers to Every Problem in the World. But we don't have a release date yet.
Oh.
So
he's still writing the answers.
Still writing all the answers.
There's so many answers to go through for you to live the perfect life. But it'll be out soon.
I love it.
I feel like it's going to change the world.
You are going to change the world.
What about your podcast?
Yeah, your podcast. So
my podcast on the YouTube.
Bella Hill or ALTVRA?
ALTVRA Co.
ALTVRA Co.
Yeah.
That's spelled ALTVRA.
Yeah.
ALTVRA.
Yeah, and I just want to shout out to Genevieve and Ziza and Crystal and to... Did I tell you my parents are in Guatemala?
Yes.
Okay.
Your wife and kids. That was your wife and kids.
My wife and kids.
Beautiful little family you have.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Chino, so much for coming. Everybody else, thank you for tuning in. We are super excited that you are joining us. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff on all the platforms. Be sure to stay tuned for next week, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Peace. I love it.
Good.
That was good, Chino. Thank you.